What if saving your best friend meant starting a war with the mafia? What if every decision you made solved one problem but created two even bigger ones? And what if the people you trusted the most were secretly planning to sacrifice each other just to stay alive? That's exactly what happens in episode 3 of The Westies. At first, this looks like another rescue mission, but beneath the surface, it's actually the beginning of something much darker. Because while everyone is focused on bringing Mickey home, no one notices that the Westies are already falling apart from the inside. And by the end of this episode, one of their own will be dead, not because of the Italians, not because of the FBI, but because betrayal has already entered the family. So grab your drink, settle in, and let's break down one of the most intense episodes of The Westies so far. By episode 3, it's clear this isn't just another gangster drama. It's a story about power, about loyalty, and about how quickly both can disappear. The series takes us back to the early 1980s, when New York City was rougher than most people can imagine. Crime was everywhere. Neighborhoods were controlled by gangs instead of police. Construction projects were worth millions, and whoever controlled those projects controlled the city itself. That's why the Jacob Javits Convention Center isn't just another building in the background. It's the prize everyone wants. For the Westies, it represents survival. For the Italian mafia, it's another source of wealth. And for law enforcement, it's the perfect opportunity to bring everyone down. Every murder, every deal, every betrayal eventually connects back to that one construction project. But before anyone can think about money, they have a much bigger problem. Mickey Flanagan has disappeared. The episode opens in complete darkness. No music, no jokes, just pain. Mickey is tied up inside one of John Gotti's hideouts. The bruises on his face tell us everything before anyone even speaks. John Gotti isn't interested in negotiation. He's interested in answers. He believes Mickey knows exactly what happened to Vinnie Zaccaro, and until he gets the truth, the beatings won't stop. This opening immediately reminds us who Gotti is. He's ambitious, he's fearless, and unlike many mafia bosses who prefer to let their soldiers do the dirty work, Gotti enjoys taking control himself. Every punch he throws sends the same message: talk or suffer. But here's what makes this scene so interesting. Mickey never gives him the satisfaction. Despite everything Gotti throws at him, he refuses to betray Jimmy or the Westies. Instead of breaking, he almost seems to become stronger. It's one of the first moments where we truly understand Mickey's character. He's not the smartest member of the crew, he's not the leader, but his loyalty is unquestionable. That loyalty may be the only reason the Westies still have a chance, because if Mickey talks, everything collapses. At first glance, Gotti's actions might seem excessive. After all, why torture someone over one missing gangster? The answer lies beneath the surface. Vinnie Zaccaro wasn't just another soldier. His disappearance threatens the balance between two criminal empires. If the Italians believe the Westies murdered one of their own, retaliation becomes inevitable. And in organized crime, retaliation rarely stops with one body. It becomes a war. That's why Gotti refuses to let this go. To him, this isn't personal, it's business. A dangerous question without an answer creates fear, and fear creates weakness. The last thing the mafia wants is to look weak. Back in the neighborhood, Jimmy Roarke receives the news he feared most. Mickey has been taken. The mood changes instantly. Nobody celebrates anymore, nobody jokes. The entire crew realizes they're racing against time. Jimmy knows exactly what Gotti is capable of. Every hour Mickey spends in captivity reduces the chances of bringing him home alive. The gang begins throwing around ideas. Some blame Mickey, others blame bad luck. But if we're being honest, none of this would have happened with Jimmy's earlier decision to kill Vinnie Zaccaro. That single act triggered everything we're seeing now. Sometimes crime dramas make it feel like violence solves problems. The Westies does the opposite. Every violent decision creates another crisis. Every shortcut demands an even bigger sacrifice later. It's like watching dominoes fall. Once the first piece tips over, there's no stopping the chain reaction. One thing episode 3 continues to highlight is the growing divide inside the Westies themselves. Jimmy represents the future. He's thoughtful, patient, strategic. He actually thinks before pulling the trigger. The older generation, not so much. Several members immediately begin arguing over what to do next. Some think Mickey is already dead. Others believe sacrificing Jimmy might satisfy the Italians. It's fear-talking. Jimmy refuses to accept that. Instead of reacting emotionally, he starts looking for another solution. This difference is becoming one of the show's most fascinating storylines. Jimmy isn't trying to become a hero. He's trying to become smarter than everyone else. And in organized crime, sometimes intelligence is more dangerous than violence. While Jimmy searches for answers, Eamon Sweeney realizes this situation has become much bigger than one kidnapped gangster member. If Gotti kills Mickey, the fragile relationship between the Irish and the Italians could collapse overnight. That would mean war, a war neither side can truly afford. So Sweeney makes a risky decision. Instead of confronting Gotti directly, he decides to speak with the one man powerful enough to stop him, Paul Castellano. Now here's where things get interesting. Most crime stories portray gang leaders as violent masterminds, but Big Paul thinks differently. To him, violence is expensive. Dead soldiers don't earn money. Businesses do. Construction contracts do. Labor unions do. That's why the Javits Center matters so much. It's worth far more than revenge. When Sweeney sits across from Castellano, the conversation feels less like two gangsters meeting, and more like two CEOs negotiating a billion-dollar merger. Both men understand one simple truth. If they start killing each other's people, everyone loses. But what happens next changes everything. Because Big Paul isn't willing to release Mickey for free. He has a job for the Westies, and it's far more dangerous than anyone expected. At this point, the episode transforms from a hostage story into something much bigger. A deadly mission, a secret drug empire, and a deal that could either save Mickey or destroy the Westies forever. Because beneath a glamorous New York nightclub lies a cocaine operation so valuable that even the mafia wants it gone. And somehow, Jimmy Roarke is about to find himself walking straight into the lion's den. But that's where things truly begin to spiral. Eamon's meeting with Big Paul Castellano changes everything. Instead of simply ordering John Gotti to release Mickey, Castellano offers the Westies a deadly bargain. Hidden beneath a popular nightclub called the Starship is a massive Colombian cocaine operation. Even worse, some of Castellano's own men have secretly joined the drug trade, something he absolutely refuses to tolerate. The mission is simple, but incredibly dangerous. Destroy the operation, and Mickey goes free. Jimmy knows charging in blindly would be suicide, so he takes the smarter approach. Along with his crew, he visits the club pretending to be ordinary customers. Bridget helps make the group blend in, while Jimmy uses Vinnie's name to gain the trust of a dealer named Jose. To Jimmy's surprise, Jose escorts him downstairs, giving him a full view of the cocaine operation. Jimmy carefully memorizes every hallway, every guard, and every exit. It's the perfect reconnaissance mission. But upstairs, everything begins falling apart. Pat and Connor start another pointless fight on the dance floor, nearly exposing the entire operation. Once again, Jimmy is forced to clean up someone else's mess. Meanwhile, Bridget makes a risky decision that could haunt her later. She secretly hands Jimmy a rocket launcher that Brendan Cahill had smuggled into New York. By doing so, she isn't just helping Jimmy, she's betraying Brendan's trust. No one realizes it yet, but that choice is about to change everything. Armed with the information Jimmy gathered, the Westies launch a full-scale assault on the Starship. Gunfire erupts, explosions tear through the basement. The Colombian operation is destroyed in minutes. Jimmy even spares Jose's life, showing that despite everything, he hasn't completely lost his humanity. Before leaving, however, he quietly steals a stash of cocaine, a decision that could spark an entirely new war later. Big Paul keeps his promise. Mickey is finally released. Bruised and battered, he returns home without revealing a single secret to Gotti. But while everyone celebrates Mickey's return, another story reaches its breaking point. Detective Glenn Keenan has been living between two worlds, working with the police while secretly protecting the Westies. When he learns Pat Murphy killed the state trooper, he realizes the truth could destroy everyone, including his own son Danny. After a heartbreaking confession to a priest, Glenn makes an impossible choice. He offers Eamon Sweeney a deal. Danny leaves the gang forever, and Glenn will personally deal with Pat. It's the moment Glenn fully abandons the line between lawman and criminal. Just when it seems the Westies have won, the episode delivers its biggest shock. Late that night, Glenn follows Pat through a quiet street. Without warning, he shoots him, then carefully stages the murder as a random mugging. Only Sweeney knows the truth. On the surface, everyone gets what they wanted. Mickey is home, the Colombians are gone, Big Paul is satisfied. The Westies even walk away with valuable cocaine. But beneath that temporary victory, the gang has never been more divided. Jimmy believes loyalty comes before everything. Sweeney believes survival requires sacrifice. Glenn believes protecting his son justifies murder. And Bridget has secretly betrayed Brendan to save Jimmy. Everyone claims they're fighting for the same family. But in reality,
each person is protecting someone different. That's what makes episode 3 so powerful. It's not really about rescuing Mickey. It's about exposing the cracks already forming inside the Westies. John Gotti is still searching for answers. The FBI is closing in. The stolen cocaine will almost certainly create new enemies. And when Jimmy eventually discovers the truth behind Pat's death, his relationship with Sweeney may never recover. The biggest threat isn't the Italians, or the Colombians, or even the FBI. It's the growing distrust inside the gang itself. And that's exactly why episode 3 feels like the calm before an even bigger storm.